Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video is about how languages are strange. So when you first start learning a language, or when you hear a language you never learnt, everything kind of sounds strange or looks strange, and especially parts of the language, maybe the sounds, maybe the phrases, they seem very strange. Maybe the sentence order also. With time, this becomes less strange and you simply get used to it. I always say that language learning is mostly about learning strange stuff and then getting used to it. First of all, things seem weird and then you don't even think about it and you just can speak and it just seems more natural. So here I'm going to show some examples of some weird things in other languages. Number one is probably the easiest thing, which is most unusual in most languages, which is idioms. And lots of these idioms are very strange, even in English. For example, in English we have things like break a leg, which means good luck, somehow. I think it's in English, break a leg is like I think breaking a leg in a performance is the worst thing you can do, so it's kind of like an ironic thing to say. Like, go on, break a leg. Yeah, I don't know, it's a strange idiom. So another example we have in French, we have avaler des couleuvres, which I'm probably butchering that pronunciation, but this means to swallow grass snakes. Literally. You think, what the hell does that mean? But this basically means to be so insulted that you don't know how to reply to someone. Next we have a very strange Japanese phrase where they say neko okaburu, which literally means to wear a cat on your head. This actually means to pretend to be a nice person when you're not, which I'm guessing it's like maybe cats are friendly, so if you wear a cat on your head you're friendly. I don't know. It's a bit of a weird phrase. And finally we have a Russian phrase and they say "У него тараканы в голове," which is like, literally means he has cockroaches in his head. Well, cockroaches here is like a metaphor for like strange personality traits. So the stranger someone is, the more cockroaches they have in their head, which is a bit kind of weird, but I guess it kind of makes sense. I don't know, it's a weird metaphor. So next we have, well, sometimes the grammar in a language can be weird, and just the way they say things is also quite weird. The next example is another French example, which is French numbers. Now, French numbers, I don't really understand why they do this, but for some reason, when you get to about 60, everyone becomes a mathematician and they have to do an equation in their head to say a number. So I'll give you an example. So if you want to say 60, you say soixante, which actually makes sense. But what happens if you want to say 70? Then they say soixante-dix, which literally means 60-10. And why are they doing this? I don't know. They don't have a number. They don't have a way of saying 70. They say 60-10. How do you say 80? 80 they say 80. I'm probably not the best pronunciation. Probably not. This means 420. Where it's literally like saying 4 times 20. So how do you say 90? They say 90 by saying 90. So that's literally 420 10. I don't know why they do this. It seems really overly complicated. You have to do like an equation in your head, and you have to remember the numbers for, I guess, 1 to 20. Well, not one. Well, I guess 1 to 19 and 4 and 20. But it just means you have to do like a maths equation every time you want to say a number above 60, which is not exactly very easy. Another thing about this is, say for example you ask a French person, what in mathematics, what is 4 times 20 plus 16? And a French person will say, oh, 4 times 20 plus 16 equals 420 16. Okay. So next we just have confusing phrases. These are things where if you translate them, maybe they have one meaning, but they actually have another one. They're not idioms though. And the best example I have for this is when it's a phrase in Russian and people say Skulka u тебя времени. And this, if you translate every word, literally, it would be how much. U тебя is a way of saying you have, and времени is time. So it's like, how much time do you have? You think, oh, how much time do you have? That's probably free time right now, like before. So, for example, I have to go to work in 2 hours. That means I have 2 hours. You think it means that, but it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that at all. Because u тебя is another way of saying where you are. And this actually just means, what time is it there? And there's loads of situations where people would ask me this. And I can't help it but understand it as, how much time do you have? So I'll say something like, they'll say like, what time is it there? And I'll say, about 40 minutes. And it's like, what? Well, of course, I'm just not, it's weird. It's like, when you understand things, it's, so normally understanding things is actually subconscious. So even though I knew this phrase didn't mean how much time do you have, my brain would still understand it that way sometimes. But it just takes time to get used to it. So another really weird thing to get used to in other languages is word order. If you look at any Romance language, you'll see this definitely with adjectives. Here's an Italian example, just because I speak it the best. So in English, this would be, I went on a difficult trip to see my favorite places. So in Italian, this would be, ho fatto un viaggio duro per vedere I miei posti preferiti. So translated literally, this says, I have done a trip hard to see my place's favorite. Of course, that sounds extremely weird in English because we don't put the adjectives afterwards, we put it before. But suppose for them, it's weird that we put it before. So yeah, it's just something you need to get used to, and it's just, at first, it just sounds really weird. Another language that is confusing in word order is German. So if we translate this sentence into German, it will look like this, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce, honestly. My German's terrible, even though I learned it for 5 years in school. So if we translate this word for word, it would be, I have myself on a hard trip set out in order to my favorite places to see. Which is, of course, really, really weird because they put the verb at the end when it's the future or the past. So yeah, it's very, very weird to get used to. But again, if you just put more time into the language, things like this just become normal and you don't even really think about it. Of course, English has its fair share of really weird stuff. For example, how we use the word do. For example, in these two sentences, do we do this? Yes, we do this. Yeah, in most languages, that's very weird to do that. We don't, because in English we use do in the present simple, in the present sense. So yeah, it's a bit weird for most other people. Okay, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. If you have any examples of some other weird things in languages you've studied or your own languages, please put them in the comments, and thank you for watching.